So a few weeks ago, we saw Google introduce the future of AI. And in that example that they showed, literally it was Google Assistant that was calling on behalf of an individual to schedule a reservation. Now, what's the implication of that in recruiting? In this episode of Recruiter Fuel, we're going to ask a few different people, what's the impact? How does it affect both the recruiters, the sourcers, and the users or the candidates when it comes to recruiting? Check this episode out.
Truthfully, I just want to see what they're coming out with. Everything is so new that I don't really know. The things that I find intriguing might be the targeted advertising, just because we can target specifically certain people based on their backgrounds. But I have to see how all this stuff works out. With the whole integration, right now you have people that write their resumes the way you've traditionally written them, but with these new tools, I don't know if they're going to be able to pick up the nuances of resumes, if they're only going to be looking for certain things, or how that's going to work. So I'm wondering if candidates now have to start writing not for us to review resumes, but for the AI assistant or whatever it's going to be called to go through the resumes and pull out the stuff that is actually relevant, because not everybody's a resume writer. I meet people all the time that haven't written a resume in 10 years. So the stuff that they're writing now, is it really going to be relevant to what this search is going to pull up? I don't really know.
Well, AI integrations, if I'm thinking in my personal life, it still hasn't necessarily crossed that boundary to the work environment for me 100% yet. So when I think AI, I'm still thinking, any of those assisting tools I have at home or on the go. So, your Alexas, the Google Homes, Siri, and like Cortana, those things that kind of made our lives easier over the last, close to a decade now.
I would think that it's going to take away some manual tasks that we currently do, some of the repetitive stuff that we have to do. The AI assistant might see something in the resume that they think looks good, but when we look at it, it's not the right background, or it's not in the right industry, or whatever it is. When I talk to people, the resume is only part of it. You still have to make sure that their personality fits the personality of the company, or some of those things, which I don't think that can do yet.
Well, again, at this point, in 2018, these things run pretty much my day-to-day. Siri reminds me to, what time to wake up. She sets my alarms, when do I need to go grocery shopping? What do I need to buy? Just constant reminders. And go into the flip side, the Google or Alexa Home, set the temperature of my house, record my favorite shows, really anything and everything I may forget to do.
I'd kind of be pretty annoyed, because I'd rather talk to someone one-on-one and create a bond with them, whether they're offering me an interview or offering me a job. I'd rather talk to them one-on-one instead of talking to a robot. I think that some people in my generation will agree with me, but I think others are so reliant on technology for everything it does for us now and everything that people are making it do in the future for us, that it's definitely going to be an issue with some people. They'd rather talk to a machine than a person.
We have to see what works best, because the AI, is it really getting you the results you need? And until we see the results coming back, then we have to figure out, well, how do we tweak it ourselves? Are we utilizing the programs the best to make sure we're getting the right results the quickest, but still being deliver the right people for the right roles for our clients? So it'll be a little bit interesting to see what we need to tweak, what the developers and the AI tweaks, because the first program or the first assistants that come out might only be good for one function, but as everyone starts utilizing it and being comfortable with it, who knows, in 2 to 3 years it might switch to something completely different than the way we're using it now.
An area for improvement I see is, automation of those super time-consuming tasks, and I'm sure more than one recruiter would speak to, how long it can be to take the time to screen through piles and piles of resumes. So to see a tool that would be able to automate that process and really save the recruiter a lot of time, I think is something we could be moving towards.
Well, it's all pretty new to everybody, so as it evolves, I think there's going to be a lot of changes from the candidate side as well as the company side, and then from the developers doing all the AI stuff and how to integrate it all. So it'll be interesting to see over the next few years how all that transpires and who's utilizing it the best. But I think that some of the mom and pop places, they're not going to be able to use it as much because they're not going to be able to tweak it the way it needs to be done, where the Fortune 500 companies can really create a whole program and how to really best utilize that stuff. So we'll see.
However, there are a couple downsides to that. One of the things for any type of automation requires a ton of data aggregated, and with that data comes kind of human biases with AI because it is learning based off of all the data it's bringing in. So, say I'm a recruiter and my patterns tend to be I hire people in a certain age range or from a certain area. The AI may learn those patterns as well, so there has to be ways to kind of negate that effect.
We're experimenting with some AI assistants and testing different things out. And one of the things that I've noticed is when I get a resume and it might say that this is a good resume for a certain position, I look at it, it's just not. And I think it's because they're pulling keywords or phrases out of the resume, and it's not really what I'm looking for. So I have a feeling that in the future, candidates might have to add more to their resume to have these assistants have a wider amount of information, because right now we tell people to keep your resume 3 to 4 pages tops. In college they'll tell you 1 page, but some people might now have to go instead of 3 to 4, maybe 5 to 6, so that they can incorporate all the different things they've been doing and all their different duties, so that when the AI assistant's looking and doing the searching, they can find those key terms or those roles, responsibilities in that resume rather than having a short and concise resume.
Well, I think kind of going back to that last question, it's a simple matter of, I think recruiters, and not just recruiters, but people in general, I think we need to be more open to technology as it evolves. Kind of the way I see it is a lot of people, oh, this is new, I'm kind of scared and confused by it. So we got to be open to the ever-evolving technology, and then how can we use it to help us and as a tool rather than, hey, this is going to replace what we do. Again, I think a lot of that ties back with the integration and automation of those tools. Again, for time-consuming tasks, absolutely could work well in the recruiting world, but again, have to be careful of those couple maybe downsides, as I mentioned. A lot of data, and get rid of the human biases, human error, whatever you want to call it, but have to find a way to weed that out of the data the AI is absorbing.